Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Bosch Breakfast Sessions. Now, if you've been here before, like I said, welcome back. You'll recognize the studio. If you're here for the first time, I welcome you to the studio where we're going to be explaining you today about VSaaS by Bosch. VSaaS, Video Surveillance as a Service. I'm here joined by Felipe De Toni. Felipe, good morning.
Good morning and hello everybody.
Hi there. Can you tell us a bit about yourself? Who are you?
Yes, well, my name is Felipe De Toni. I'm Product Market Manager in the EMEA region and responsible for VSaaS and some other software components. And again, happy to be here with you guys and have this opportunity to talk with you.
Very good, very good. So as you can tell, I managed to drag our software expert out here to enlighten us on all of the components of VSaaS. So about today, what are we going to be doing? Like I mentioned, we're going to be talking about VSaaS, a bit of an introduction. Who's Felipe? My name is Dan. I'm the host of today. I'll be taking you through the session. Felipe, you're going to be telling us about VSaaS. What, where, why, how, everything?
That's true.
Very good. The offering from Bosch in the range of VSaaS.
VSaaS by Bosch, definitely.
Exactly. And then what's coming up next.
That's true.
And then, very important, as always, we'll have a Q&A session at the end. So make sure you put all of your questions in the chat box on the right side of your screen. You'll see it if you're not watching full screen. You'll see it on the right side. You can ask all of your questions there, and we'll answer them at the end. If you want to watch full screen and still post the questions there, make sure to scan the QR code. As always, if you've been here before, should you be having any difficulties with your stream, just refresh the page, and that should solve it. Now, before we dive into your story, I think it's good to test the waters a bit on what kind of people we've got here, right?
Definitely. Customer feedback.
Customer feedback is what we're here for.
That's true.
Very good. So a small poll. It will be on the same, either on your phone if you scan the QR code or on the screen on the right side. Now the poll we want to ask, are you already using cloud-based video surveillance? What do you think, Felipe?
Let's see. I don't want to give my... Let's see.
We're going to be learning a lot about our viewers and customers today.
Yeah.
And I think...
so let's not influence them also.
No, exactly. So the options that you have, yes, you always do use cloud-based solutions, sometimes rarely or not at all. We see the first results coming in. That's very good. And I think we've got a crowd, as far as I can see, of people that are pretty curious to learn from you on this topic, right?
That's true. That's true. And really start from the basics. Yeah, we can do that. Let's do that.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. So indeed, we see the results coming in. Make sure you find the buttons because we'll need your input on that area of the screen some more today. So like I said, most people not yet experienced in this part. Quite some people that do sometimes use it. So I think we have a balanced crowd. Let's make use of that and dive into it.
Let's go for it.
So with that, let's head into your story.
Thanks, Dan. So really good that we will start really with the basics. So I'll start with some generic, let's say, points for VSaaS. So what, why, and where. So first one, what is VSaaS? So it is video surveillance as a service, and is a way that you deploy your video surveillance via the cloud or hosted in the cloud. So as you can see on this slide, you see on the left the on-premise version. So you guys already know how it works. It is the VMS on site. You have a lot of hardware there. You have your servers, your recording is there. And on the right, you really see some different thing, which is actually VSaaS. So mainly what you need, it is your camera as a security equipment, but the rest of the things are mainly hosted into the cloud. So what are the benefits? What kind of challenges we can solve with VSaaS? So the first one I would like to highlight to you is really minimal hardware on site. So when you, as I mentioned, the camera is the only or the minimum thing you need there, means that with less hardware, you have less cost on maintaining that hardware. So imagine your servers, you need to maintain all that up and running, energy cost, space on your rack, IT room with air conditioning, all those things, you don't need to have that much anymore because this is actually running, all those services are running into the cloud. It is also interesting also here, it means also less upfront investments because you don't need to buy all this hardware right in the beginning when you're deploying your video surveillance project.
It's efficient usage of what it is, right?
Definitely. So the second point I would like to highlight is really it's much easier to get connected and it's also in a secure way. So you don't need port forwarding, you don't need to create a VPN. You can connect your cameras to the cloud, and from there you start to access your video footage from anywhere, anytime. Third point I would like to mention is nowadays, data security is really a big topic. And nowadays customers spend a lot of time and money to maintain their systems updated with the latest version, because it's the latest version which is really solving all kind of vulnerabilities that you might have in your software or your cameras. So keeping that updated, it is the safest way, but it's not that easy. You most probably need to go on site and make your updates. With VSaaS, you actually bring that responsibility on the software side to the cloud provider, and it means that it will be automatic, let's say, updated and always with the latest measures against cybersecurity, let's say, issues, making sure that you don't need to spend so much money, let's say, updating your systems on site. Number 4, efficient management and maintenance. So less trip to sites. Once you connect your cameras, you mainly can do almost everything from remote. So then you don't need to spend a lot of CO2 emission, a lot of CO2. Yeah, you just connect, and then from remote you do it almost everything. Last one, much easier to deploy multi-site projects. And especially if you have a lot of sites in any kind of geographical area, yeah, you can easily deploy that with VSaaS.
Yeah.
So let's go where we can apply. And it's not limited to this, let's say, that I'm showing to you guys, but let's say we see the most benefits in this kind of application. So all kind of remote sites with moderate number of cameras, like for example, solar energy plants, you can easily deploy the VSaaS, you connect a lot of sites in any kind of area, and you can then use all your video from remote. Small logistics centers, ATMs distributed in a country, also mobile camera trailers, so it's much easy to deploy with VSaaS, because you just come, you put your cameras there, you connect maybe via 4G, and it's done. And after, let's say, you can also think about temporary construction sites, for instance. Yeah, after you finish that building, you just get all the stuff, and then you go to the next project, maybe. Chain retails and services. So this is some of the examples. We see a lot of benefits that VSaaS really can fit in the application.
Yeah. So what I see, if I understand correctly, it's when it's a lot of spaces, a lot of locations, far spread, right?
That's really where VSaaS really plays a really good role there.
Very good. Let's look into it.
Okay, so this is more generic benefits. So let's go into the VSaaS by Bosch offer. So then I brought this set of component slides for you, and I'll start, of course, showing that we can, of course, make use of all our cameras, our Bosch cameras, and all the intelligence we have there. So we can combine that with our cloud and really have a really strong offer to our customers. Everything is connected to our remote device management system, where you can easily, let's say, deploy, configure, and maintain all your devices. Once the camera is connected, then remotely you can access the video, you can receive alarms, and you can even use that in a lot of different, let's say, interface. Maybe you want to use a web browser interface. Maybe you want to use, let's say, your smartphone to receive alerts. That's also possible. We are not only talking about self-monitoring, but if you need to integrate with third-party softwares, maybe you have a security operating center, let's say, company that is managing all your events, then you can integrate with that. We can forward the alarms to them. On the left, not only Bosch cameras, also third-party cameras. OnVIF compliant is our cloud, and also we bring also some plugins to some specific brands that makes it even easier to connect to our solution. Still on the left side, you see also flexible recording options. So with our solution, you can decide to record in the edge, or maybe completely in the cloud, or maybe both. You go hybrid. You want to record continuously in your SD card inside of your camera, and maybe just events into the cloud. Last but not least, alarm verification, but I'll not tell you much about that one, because we're gonna have a special part during the session that I'm going to present that for you.
Wow, that's a cliffhanger. All right,
really
all right. Let's wait and see.
That's something that's coming. Okay, let's move. How we start. So how you customers, how you can start with the cloud. Inside Bosch, you start with remote portal. You can get your cameras, Bosch connected to the remote portal, and then you start to use our service. Like, for example, the remote device management that I just mentioned to you. You can configure everything from remote. You can maintain all your device from remote. And also the VSaaS services, like video view, alarm management, others. Remote portal is not dedicated only to video, but during this session, we're going to focus on the video part of remote portal. Remote device management. So once you connect your camera, and you can do it really easy. You just connect the camera to the network, you use our Project Assistant app, and you make the camera connect to remote portal. From there, the camera can be configured remotely, anywhere, anytime. So you can make use of a lot of tools there, maybe the configuration manager that you know already. And once the camera is there, you can easily, let's say, manage and maintain. We have a dashboard where you see all the camera status. If this camera is it's good, or maybe there is a connection problem there, if it's on the latest firmware version. So, and from there you can start maybe even already pushing the firmware update to that camera to make sure it's on the latest one and the more secure, more rich feature, let's say, version. Mm-hmm. So all of that free of charge. If you don't know yet remote portal, if you still don't have an account there, just go for it. You can register today and start to connect your cameras.
You're losing out if you're not doing it, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, just get connected, complete free of charge.
Very good.
Okay, then once you have your cameras in remote portal and you group your cameras as sites, then you can start also to make video operations. So here I brought this video security client that is actually getting the video via a remote portal. So where you can see live, you can see playback, and you can even do a basic form search. So you really can investigate in a better way. So it's really a client or an app that is really on demand. So you maybe had a problem yesterday, so you want to check the recordings, so easy, anytime, anywhere, via the cloud. Okay. This is more or less the benefits, and as I mentioned, if you have one camera, SD card recording, that's what you need. Connect to remote portal, and you start to see live playback, everything from remote. Mm-hmm. So it's really easy to use. It's really easy to also investigate things because it comes with this nice foreign search. So yeah, a really nice tool that you can start to use with video view service.
And so how does that tie in? We had in the last session back in July, we had Ruud here, who was telling us all about the video analytics that is running on the Bosch cameras. Yeah. What I'm hearing you say is mostly video feed, right?
That's true.
Going back, looking what happens, or getting the live feed. How does that tie in with VSaaS?
Yeah, at this point, you see video view as a service that you go and investigate something that happened there. But that's a good point you mentioned. Now, if I want to go proactive, if I want to really prevent that events become incidents, mm-hmm. then that's our next service, and that's called it alarm management. So alarm management really comes to manage the events and maybe all the analytics that you deploy in your camera, that you configure in a camera to make sure that you receive that events in a nice way and you can act, make it in a proactive way. Mm-hmm. So it is really coming not only with the event from the camera, but also adds a 10 seconds clip with that recording, with the event recording. So imagine you recording on site in the SD card, but that 10 seconds clip is also in the cloud. Even someone comes and damages the camera, you still have that evidence there mm-hmm. as a 10 seconds clip. So it really goes also not only with the interface, we have a web browser interface, but if you want to receive a push notification on your smartphone, maybe you're a security manager, let's say traveling in a different country, mm-hmm. and you also want to receive that event, you also can do that, you receive in your, let's say, smartphone. Well, it is a set of, let's say, benefits that we have in alarm management to really make sure that we prevent that events become incidents. This is the interface of the web client. It's really dedicated for the operator. So here you see our cameras, for example, using the nice IVA, all the analytics we have, the powerful analytics we have, mm-hmm. and then send the events to our cloud. The cloud will bring to the operator the events, and the event will be then managed by the operator. I would like to show you that in live done. then I'll get my laptop here.
Oh, very good. We're getting a live demo. Good.
Yeah.
So while Philippe is pulling it up, let me quickly remind everyone, if any of the information now rings a bell with you and you say, hey, listen, I want to learn more about this topic or the other, again, post your questions in the chat box or on your phone, and we'll, I think you'll be happy to answer them at the end, right?
That's correct, definitely. So I hope you guys are seeing my screen. So what you see here is the interface of Event Monitor. So here we see the event list and all the events coming from different cameras. And not only the events, but maybe if one camera is down, you also see that here. And I just configure one simple example to explain you how that works and the benefits of this interface. So what I configured, we have our parking area in the Eindhoven showroom here in Netherlands. And if someone is parking in a prohibited area, I just gonna receive an event. And you see that people is parking a lot there. So then let's go and see one of those events. And that's the interface, or that's the preview part for the operator. So here you see that one car was parking on that area that I configured in our, with our IVA, and the camera just sent that to us. On top of that, our cloud actually did a lot of nice things. Actually, the cloud brought one overlay that you can see, that white car, really identifying the object that was generating that event. And you might say, okay, I know that it was that object, but maybe you have a lot of other objects moving there. So the cloud is already saying to you, hey, this is the one that generated the event. So on top of that, you also can play. Remember the 10 seconds clip? So that 10 seconds clip, that's the one you see here. It is actually in a high-speed mode. I can also play it in a normal mode, then you're gonna really see it a little bit like a 10 seconds. And you really understand the event, what's going on here. So easily the operator can see, hey, look, this is what is happening, and he can decide maybe to continue investigating further, or maybe he can decide to go to the next event. Mm-hmm. We also bring other options here, other things like the daylight reference image that you see here. And this is really interesting one because maybe the event is just coming in the middle of the night, and then the image is not that the same, not with enough light, and then the operator can easily identify and understand what's going on there or that scene. And also what we call it best shot, which is actually already a zoom in the object that was generating that event. So with that, we believe that the operator can quick react and understand that. I also receive already some customer feedbacks. They feel, okay, with that, I don't need to go to the live or the playback. Mm-hmm. I can actually, in 80% of the cases, just understand what happened and take actions. So that's really one nice preview that we have with our interface.
And the push notification that you mentioned, so I get it on my phone. It says, you know, someone parked in the parking spot that you identified should be free. I open it on my phone or on the browser. Do I get this exact screen, or was it the previous one? What do I see when I open the notification?
You have a different screen. We have an app called a Site Monitor app. Mm-hmm. And then on that app, you're going to see, let's say, the 10 seconds clip, like you're seeing here. Mm-hmm. And also, you immediately open the live view of the camera. So you understand what was the event, and maybe you can also continue to look on that really in live.
And what if I want to see from a little bit before or after, where the person went after?
Well, that's the point here. Then maybe this is more for the operator, but also in the app, you can also open another app like the video security app to really investigate further in timeline. Mm-hmm. And when the web-based interface, then I'm going to show you, you also go for an investigation mode where you really go and in the details and the timeline and all the features are there.
Okay.
I'm going to show that for you.
Very good.
Right now. So then, okay, if the operator wants to investigate further, then let's go and click here. And that's what you see. So you start to, sorry for the network, it's not that good here. So then you see that you see the interface of the investigation mode, and you also see here a map that you can actually drag and drop more cameras here. So you can start to understand the scene with more cameras, and then the operator have all the, could understand better what to look. Maybe it's a person or a vehicle that he wants to track, could be all kind of different examples. So in this interface, you also look that we also have here a timeline, so you might see the live view, or maybe you want to also investigate further in the timeline. So I can go maybe 1 hour before, I can go maybe and look maybe the day before. So, and what you see here, it is actually a combination really with the cloud recording. So this timeline I'm just showing is complete cloud, let's say, recorded. So, and that's what you see in this nice, let's say, interface. On top of that, you can also configure a lot of, let's say, pre-configured actions. So imagine, let's say, on that example, someone parked in that prohibited area. Okay, I want to send an email to the facility manager. Or maybe it's just an intruder just going and jumping the fence. Well, then I can maybe also pre-configure here an audio message and then say, hey, look, I'm already seeing you, just go away, then I'm calling the police. So we can let some pre-configured actions for the operator that he also can act, and again, prevent that events become incidents. So that's really the key here.
Nice.
This is a little bit about our interface. So let me come back. Well, we might have a lot of multiple sites, and here I brought more sites. You can easily, let's say, click on a next site, and then you just open that site with all its cameras. So you can decide to open again. This is our Eindhoven showroom. The other one is, let's say, another showroom in Grasbrunn in Germany. So you could have, let's say, that distributed in any kind of geographical area.
How many areas can you identify?
Nah, there is no limit. So if you want to deploy a project that it's a mute site, let's say enterprise with a lot of offices, yeah, some offices in across all the world, we can do that.
Very good. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's it for the demonstration part. Then I would like to come back to the slide deck. Let me bring this laptop here. And well, this is a little bit about the alarm management and how we manage the alarms into our cloud. So it's definitely a really good combination with our analytics, but not limited only to the analytics. If you want to just use the input of your camera and generate an event, that's also possible. Yeah, like a push button in an emergency situation somewhere in a store. It is possible also to generate all that event, and then the operator will see it. Well, this is what we have.
Right.
But now I would like to go what is coming. You know about that alarm verification.
Yeah.
This is a feature we plan to release soon. It's coming quite soon. I'm going to explain you when. And but what is about alarm verification? So what is this feature and what can bring to you, our customers? Well, you know nowadays cameras are really smart and have really powerful analytics and really good performance. So you can easily identify persons, you generate events in all kinds of scenarios. But still, there is a few situations that you might have a false alarm. So that could be maybe because of the difficult conditions. Maybe you have a really bad weather, a lot of shadows, lights, or maybe just you know, a spider is just walking in the camera lens. Then this might generate for you a false alarm. And with a false alarm for a few cameras, that might be okay. But if you have 1,000 cameras, then few alarms could become really a problem for the operation, because the operator is there, let's say, really looking on all those alarms and making sure, hey, this is not really the alarm. I should not do any have any actions here. Intensive job with. And it's an intensive job. It's really tough in this looking like that. So, and that's the idea of the alarm verification. What we want to do, and we're bringing that quite soon, it is on top of the analytics that you have in the camera, we're going to have a second layer of analytics inside of our cloud. And this is based on deep neural network. So it's a deep learning checking if we have a person and or a vehicle on that scene. Because actually, most of the time for security, this is the main objects that you're normally, let's say, trying to identify, and that's why we look on this kind of objects. And if there is a person there or a vehicle, then we send that event to the operator. But if there is no, maybe there is just a small animal there, then this could be, let's say, rejected, could be just not presented to the operator, or could be deprioritized in the list. So then we start to really make sure that the operators are really looking on the events that are true or the things that really matters. I brought one video here to show that to you. So let's see it. This is more or less the list that you know already. So the first one, you see that it says there, verified by AI. So on this event, it was verified that there is a person or there is a vehicle there. And that's why it was reaching the operator interface. So in this case, you see a different situation. Let's see what happens here. Well,
I would not be happy.
Yeah, I think nobody would be happy with that, right? Someone really damaging the grass and having fun in your garden. Well, also my wife will not be happy with that.
I can imagine.
I can tell you. So the second example, let's look. It's really when the AI actually was rejecting that event. So you're going to see the same scene, and but now with a different situation. And in this case, we received the alarm from the camera. Maybe you're difficult to see it, but there is a ball there. So, and that ball actually was generating an event, but then when the AI received that, they say, hey, nope, let's not forward that to the operator. And that actually saved it a lot of time for the operation.
So the AI in this case did the work for the operator?
Did the work on checking the false alarm. So that's really where we see that we can reduce, let's say, a lot this kind of false alarms, false positives that you might have with your cameras, with your analytics. So this is really interesting one, and in combination with our IVA, it's definitely really powerful. The operator will see only the things that matters. Yeah. Did you like the video?
It was very good. It was very good. So now I can at least catch the people driving across my lawn.
That's true.
All I need is an image with the face now, but we'll work on that. We'll work on that.
I see this, well, definition for that video is really high tech and high fun, right?
Right.
For the guy just messing up with the grass. Well, this is about the alarm verification, and this is really interesting one, and I want to show a little bit more details about it. Okay, Felipe, I received the event, but I'm a little bit worried. What if the AI is not really treating well that event? I still want to see it. So what you see here is actually that the AI is, maybe you can decide to not just don't see it, but you can deprioritize. And that goes actually, if it's a false event, it goes actually in the end of the list. And if it's verified by the AI, as you can see here, then it's really on the top of the list. So the operator starts with that event, will have the most chance to be a true event, a critical situation. So it is really, you can configure it, you can decide, depending on the application, you might select one or another. And then, this really brings a nice idea to reduce and to have really less workload with the operation. Where we can apply that? Additional, let's say, information. So imagine all kind of perimeter protection. You might see this, let's say, outdoor environment with a little bit more challenge environment, small animals, all kind of things. So if you have any kind of perimeter, and I brought here example again of the solar, let's say, plant site. Yeah, you can have cameras to monitor that perimeter. You can make sure that if someone is going there, you receive that event. The AI will also play an important role here to make sure that no false alarm is reaching the operator. It is really an easy way to deploy your cameras. You connect everything from remote. Again, maybe you don't have infrastructure there, internet. You can also deploy that maybe with 4G. And on top of that, you can integrate our solution. maybe with other domains. Let's imagine you want to integrate with a loudspeaker to again send an audio message if someone is going inside. And you then prevent that that guy is, let's say, damaged something there. I brought another example down here. It is then the mobile perimeter protection, and here could be a temporary installation. So yeah, if it's that a temporary installation, you're not going to spend a lot of money to get infrastructure maybe there. But with just 4G and with a pole and a camera there, you're able to use it. You're able to use our VSaaS services, start to receive events if someone is going on site, and then, yeah, again, making sure that everything is fine with that site and not damaged. You just look again on the recordings afterwards. Yeah. So that can work maybe even without energy on site. If you have maybe solar panels with batteries, with generator, yeah, that's all you need. You just need to have a way to connect the cameras to the cloud, and from there you make use of our Bosch services.
And what I see, I think in this image as well, there's a loudspeaker connected to the pole there with the cameras, right? Yeah. So this, I don't know if it's in this picture, but what is possible with VSaaS, what I hear you say, is to connect the events that the camera detects to the loudspeaker. And then how do you configure, I don't know, the message that the loudspeaker says?
You can, let's say, have some pre-configured, let's say, events, and you can also maybe load some audio, let's say, pre-configured message in our system, and then you push that audio via the camera. The camera normally needs a little bit of preamp to the speaker, and then you be able to hear that, let's say, pre-recorded message.
Right, so that's all in the interface that you showed before?
It's all in the interface. You just can configure that as a pre-configured, let's say, feature or action for the operator. Yeah.
Yeah. And out of the, so you showed a couple of verticals or places where you can use it, right? There's two that you just showed. So where have you seen the most usage so far of solutions like this, and where do you think there's a lot of opportunity still left?
Well, it is really difficult to answer that one. I actually would like to ask that to our customers. So then maybe I have my own, and we are seeing some tractions in many, let's say, areas, but we also want to hear, in this case, from our customers.
Okay, then we'll wait for the feedback first, and then I'll ask for your expertise.
Okay, let's go for that. So then we go for the second poll in our session. So, and then we would like to know from you what verticals or markets do you see VSaaS, being really the most useful? And you see that it's really gaining traction. You see more projects popping up. So, please.
Yep. And again, there's a poll on the side of your screen or on your phone if you scan the QR code. There's a couple of options. You can only select one, so select the one that's most relevant to your business or to your situation. If your favorite option is not in there, make use of the chat function afterwards when the poll has disappeared, and still let us know. I think it will still be very interesting to see if there's maybe some creative other ones where we have not thought of or you have not thought of. Because I do see some people voting other here, so let's see how that goes, right?
That's true. Let's see.
So we're seeing the results coming in. What do you make of this, Felipe?
Well, I think it makes a lot of sense to me, and it's quite aligned with what we just discussed. So we see really that, for remote sites, it costs maybe a lot of money, or sometimes you don't have even the chance to have an IT, let's say, room there with air conditioning. So it means you cannot put your servers there, you cannot put your recorders there. So then you just connect the camera, and then you bring that, let's say, part of the solution to the cloud. That fits really well. Fits really well. And the second point is really that situation with mute sites. Maybe it's a remote site, and I have one here, one there, one in another country. Well, you can combine everything together in a secure way, using just one easy-to-use interface. Going from investigation mode with alarms, so everything really fits to the answers I see the customers are going. Yeah,
exactly. But and I saw in the results that the ATMs or bank branches, there were not too many votes for that. Although they are usually quite spread apart, right? So I would think...
That's true. That's true. I still see there might be some, cloud adoption barriers in this case. So we see that also in the areas, sometimes some areas are, let's say, more adopted easier, let's say, or faster, the cloud, and some areas that are still, let's say, a little bit afraid about it. Because in the end, they figure, oh, my data is in the cloud. I'm not comfortable with that. On the other side, as I said, if your data is in the cloud, it is actually really safe. Why? Because you make sure it's always with the latest version. You also have, let's say, behind that, let's say the cloud providers with a lot of backup stuff, and then making sure that your recorders will not go away. Like maybe, for instance, if you have maybe a hard disk failing on your side, on your recorder.
To be honest, that will be a reason for me to switch to the cloud already, because in the session on data security we had before, we were discussing, I think, the 15 or 20 measures you should take to be very data secure. And if that can be taken away and I can be assured that someone else is taking care of it, that will make my life a lot better already.
That's nice. That's true. That's true.
That's sign me up. I'll get the details afterwards. Good.
Okay. I'll make a good offer for you.
Very good.
Okay, then thanks a lot for your answers in this poll. Then let's go to one more slide. And I think this is the one, it's a kind of summary about our solution. So that's the last one after we go to the Q&A, which is really the most interesting also part.
Exactly. Let's see what people think about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So give us your questions.
Please just send easy questions, no difficult questions. So why VSaaS by Bosch? So here I brought maybe 6 points. So the first one, best in class, event-driven solution. So again, we want to make sure that events are not becoming incidents. And we want to prevent damage on the site. And that's we really do in a nice way with all the tools, with the analytics plus that interface you just saw. The second one, we get the best from AI. And we use actually the combination of AI in the edge, in our cameras, but also the combination, that combination with the cloud AI, with deep learning in the cloud, so to make sure that only true events are really reaching the operator. The third thing I want to mention, with that, actually you have really efficient operation. So just looking to the main things, what really matters, and also with all the tools that you can quickly react. So imagine, as I mentioned, with that 10 seconds clip, you can easily identify, you can easily understand what is going on there, and you can decide to investigate it further, or you can decide to go to the next event. Minimum hardware on site. Some brands, they offer, let's say, VSaaS, but they offer maybe you need to still have a gateway there. In the Bosch offer, you just connect the camera is directly connected to the cloud. You don't need anything else, you don't need any space in your rack, you just connect directly the camera via some kind of network. Reliable and secure, so yes, we're really working to make sure that everything's work fine and smoothly. So, and we also work on the data security side, right? As you just mentioned in the 2 sessions ago on the breakfast session, it is one of our pillars. So we make sure that every measure needed to make sure that you have a more secure solution, it's done, it is there. So from the camera to the cloud to the client, so it means it's really end-to-end approach on the cybersecurity side that we have. Yeah. And the last but not least, I would like to mention we're a really open solution. So you can make use of Bosch cameras, you can make use of third-party cameras, and also you can integrate our cloud with third-party applications. So as for example, others softwares running in a security operating center, so and a lot of other, let's say, possibilities like an API that you can then integrate with your own software if you have it. So that combination of benefits, I think it's really bringing our VSaaS to really a good level that you can really deploy your solutions, your cloud solutions, really in a good way with a lot of benefits then.
And then if you, because you mentioned it's open ecosystem, right? All the on-viv cameras, you have specific plugins for non-on-viv cameras, I think. Yeah. And then you also mentioned the software side. Do you think that you cover, you know, for the people watching, let's say 90% of the people watching with their cameras and with their software, would that be a fit, or is it less or more?
I think definitely it's a fit, because most of the time maybe you're interacting also with other camera brands, but you still want to use it all together in your interface. So definitely is the point. And we know integration is also key nowadays. Maybe you want to integrate with specific software, That's part of, let's say, your daily business. And for that, you need an easy API that customers can integrate. And that's what we're bringing also with our solution.
Exactly. So the
last thing I want to mention is also really we have some flexible deployment options. So you might want to go to a multi-tenant cloud where you, let's say, located in our cloud with other, let's say, customers. But if you want to deploy a dedicated instance of our solution that is only yours, that's also possible. We can definitely do that.
Yeah, yeah. All right. And then for the minimum hardware, what you say minimum hardware because you don't need to get all of this, all of the equipment needed, right? But you do need a camera.
Yeah, you need a camera.
When is VSaaS relevant? I imagine that for one camera, maybe it's not necessary, right? Two cameras, maybe. When does it start becoming, you know, a good fit?
I believe that it is also relevant if you have few cameras. So as you saw with Remote Portal and Video Security Client, we can deploy a small, let's say, system, and you connect, and you can start to see from remote. You just need a camera, and for recording, you just connect one SD card on that camera. So, but then if you have also a lot of cameras, I see that, say, if you have one site with 2,000 of cameras, maybe this is still, yeah, you see more benefits maybe going on-premise. Because you need to have anyway servers there, you have a big system, you already have IT rooms there. But if you have 2,000 of cameras spread over 100 sites, then it's 20 cameras per site, then maybe site's not that big to have more equipment there. Then you can maybe really think that VSaaS could really, for that kind of project profile, yeah, really fit.
Yeah, yeah. And then, since you say it's a very efficient system, right? I'm going to get to your questions. I just have a question of my own first. It's a very efficient way of making use of the cloud and making use of all the system. How does it work with payment? Because that's the thing you haven't done yet. It's a paid service, right?
Exactly. So VSaaS is the term that we talk about video surveillance as a service, but it's part of a kind of software as a service, let's say, model. So then in this case, we offer actually a yearly fee that our customers, let's say, will have, and it's a yearly fee per camera, and then they can use during that year. Next year is another yearly fee. So that's the way we monetize this solution, this service.
All right, very good. Like I mentioned, we will get to your questions, so we'll do that right now. I see quite some questions coming in already, so that's very good. Keep them coming. I think you're more than happy to answer them. So, Felipe, first question that I see here, who has access to the data? Only the customer or also people from Bosch or the supplier?
Okay, so we have, let's say, one cloud, and that cloud could be, let's say, as I mentioned, multi-tenant cloud. So our experts will create an account for you, and after that, there will be, let's say, your, let's say, account, and then from there you connect your cameras and you get access to that. So you can also maybe decide to go for a dedicated cloud where you can create yourself, all your users, all your things, and then it's mainly you that manage that cloud. What we just need, of course, is to align with you, hey, look, time by time I'll need to update your cloud to make sure it's secure.
Yeah.
And we're going to align, hey, maybe we're going to do that on a Saturday morning, you decide. And we just go actually on the application level, but not inside of the application. I think it's more like, okay, we can update your cloud, but without we have actually the users that are inside of your application. Hope that this is clear. Yeah. It is a little bit tricky. It's a new thing for most of people, but that's the way it works.
But it's not like Bosch is checking at your every camera and seeing...
No, we're not going to check all the images, this kind of thing. So it is really, let's say, we're more bringing to you the solution, your space, and then from there, you need to configure, you need to, let's say, use it, and you need to start to receive your events on your, let's say, users. We're not going to receive that event that you, let's say, sending to the cloud.
Right, very good. I see another question here. Where is the cloud hosted? Where are the data recordings in the cloud stored? So is it in the US, in the EU? Where?
Okay. Yeah, it depends what kind of service you're gonna use. So if we talk about, let's say, the cloud storage, it's mainly in Germany, but also the 10 seconds clip, we can easily maybe deploy in different countries, and depending, we already have actually different, let's say, instance running in different countries. For example, UK, for example, Germany, and even in South Africa we have one instance. So depends a little bit what services, but we can, let's say, also discuss that in a better way according to your project needs to maybe deploy an instance in a specific area you need.
So it's somehow also, let's say, to be defined by the project, right?
Project by project, we make use of AWS services. So if you have AWS in your, let's say, country, we have the chance to deploy Alarm Manage, for instance, with 10 seconds clip in that, let's say, country.
Right. Okay. Are the EU GDPR regulations taken into consideration?
Definitely. So again, as one of our pillars, cybersecurity and also data security, you know, it is a kind of combination of both. And we definitely look on the privacy part. We have, and the solution is completely GDPR compliant, for sure.
Exactly. And that yeah. And then question here, Felipe, you said updates are pushed automatically via the cloud. Question here is very practical. At what time? I assume updating, the camera is out for a few seconds or minutes.
Yeah, that's true. The moment, let's say, you push a firmware, you're gonna have a little bit of downtime for that camera. So it normally takes 5-10 minutes, depending on, let's say, your bandwidth, let's say, performance. And the new version, you're gonna notice in the interface, so you can see in the dashboard. But what you also can do, you can configure our remote portal to send you a notification via email when there is a new firmware. So you don't even need to check it then. You just, let's say, receive that in your, let's say, email, and then from there you go and then, hey, look, I'm going to update that version to the latest.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's basically, you can decide when it's updated. Is that right?
That's right. You decide. We offer the firmware. You notice that it's not on the latest one, but still it is, let's say, on the user side, the decision to really start that firmware update.
Okay. Can you please explain again the difference between the licenses, alarm notification, alarm management, and alarm transmission? Are they all mandatory?
Okay. Well, let's start with Video View. Video View, it is a service that you can use to see live and playback in base for search with Video Security Client. And we have then the alarm management, which actually the service that enables you to start to work with the events and then start to use that web interface and start to use, let's say, the 10 seconds clip also recording in the cloud. And then also that 10 seconds clip will be reaching your web interface or your smartphone. So these are the services, let's say, mainly that I was presenting here. If you want to, let's say, forward an event that is just happening in your system, also to a third-party software, to a security operating center, for instance, yes, then you have alarm transmission, which is one service that makes that possible. Yeah. So basically, that's the list of services we have.
And I think part of the question here is also, are they all mandatory? So do you need to take all of them, or can you pick and choose what is relevant to your project?
If you're an end user, let's say, that has your own operation, then maybe you don't need to forward the alarm to a security operating center. So you just need alarm management then. Yeah. But if you may be an end user who, during the day, you have all your operators, but maybe during the night, because it's a lot of cost to have people there, maybe you want to integrate your system with a security operating center, then during the night maybe you want to forward the events to that SOC, and then you need alarm transmission for it.
And then you, based on the timing or based on a certain period of time, you activate or deactivate the license? Is that how it works?
No, it is just once your license is activated, you can make use of the feature, and then you have, let's say, a calendar that you just decide, hey, during the day, I don't want to forward to the SOC. During the night, I'll forward to the SOC. Or maybe you decide to always forward to the SOC. That's also fine.
And if you say, hey, listen, in this specific case, I always have people on site checking, I don't need to use transmission at all, can you simply leave it out? Does it have a sort of license benefit as well?
Sure. Yeah, you definitely can go like that.
Yeah. Okay. Is this solution, I imagine this is about VSaaS as a whole, also suitable for large camera networks? Is there a limit to the number of cameras that can be included in this solution or network?
There is no limitation, let's say, that we know for now. But it's really, let's say, depends how you deploy that, right? And also, it's all about also bandwidth that you need to have. If you have, let's say, a lot of cameras in one site and you want to do complete cloud recording, you will also need to consider how much data you can, transmit on that, let's say, bandwidth that you have. So it is really the point that, let's say, the customer needs to also evaluate that point. Maybe stay, if you have a really 200 cameras, 300 cameras, maybe it's so much data that you need to send to the cloud, and maybe you decide to make the recordings, let's say, on site. So depends on the project. Most of the time, again, if it's a big project with a lot of camera, starts to have not, so it's not maybe so easy to deploy it to the cloud. I'm not saying that's impossible. Actually, there are projects that I really heard about that exist. But most of the time, if you have few cameras, then it's of course easier, and even if it's a distributed site.
Right. But what I hear you say is the limitation is more in the bandwidth locally. So the VSaaS solution we haven't found the limits yet. Is that right?
Not yet.
So it's a challenge. Let's find the limits together.
Let's do it together. Let's do it together.
Very good. Here's someone asking, hi, does the cloud service support more than the 10-second clip, and is this free as well?
Yeah, when you go for the alarm management, and you start to have the 10 seconds clip, then it's a paid service. So it's a yearly fee per camera, and then you start to get that 10 seconds clip recording there. If you want cloud storage, maybe you don't want only that 10 seconds clip. Maybe you want continuous recording in the cloud. Then we have different, let's say, packages for the cloud storage. We have package from 50 gigabytes that you have in the cloud, or up to 1 terabyte in the cloud. Depends what's your, let's say, resolution, the video quality you want to push. So if you want to push more quality, then you might need more space in the cloud. If you don't need that much, then you can go for the smaller package, like 50 gigabytes.
Right, right. So it's a package pricing system.
Package pricing, definitely.
Okay. Can one have BVMS and VSaaS hybrid?
Yes, you can do it that. So maybe you have your BVMS already installed, you're recording, and maybe you know already VRM is the recording engine that you have inside of the BVMS package. And that package, that recording, it is compatible with our, let's say, engine. So you can start to also get that 10 seconds clip into the cloud from your existing system, from your on-premise system. So I gave the example for the SD card recording, but that could be also a Diva IP 5000 running a BVMS on site, and then you get also 10 seconds clip into the cloud, and then you can access that from remote.
Right, right. Okay. Is it also possible to perform forensic search in cloud recorded footage?
At this point, no. We're also working on that, and we plan to release that in the future. But you definitely can do it if you're recording locally. That could be, again, the BVMS on site, the VRM on site, or the SD card recording, because then they are really using the metadata, and then you can do the basic forensic search, as I just mentioned.
Exactly. And in the future, you'll be able to do that from purely the cloud as well.
That's the idea. That's really the direction we're going.
Okay. Is this reducing false alarms passed to monitoring stations?
If this is producing false alarms?
No, sorry, reducing. So.
No, we're definitely reducing false alarms. So again, monitoring stations, they might have, let's say, tons of cameras there, and that's a real challenge. Every, let's say, false alarm could actually mean time spent there from the operator. And too much false alarms, really, you might be overloaded with it. You cannot manage the things that really matters. So the combination of our solution, especially with the alarm verification, wow, this is going to really be definitely powerful for this kind of application.
And in a way, cost saving then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Does alarm verification work for a specific box for which the alarm was generated, or for the entire frame?
That's a good one. How it works. So actually we get the clips from the camera, and we analyze them. So how we do it? We first use also, and that comes to the last session you guys saw maybe with the breakfast session. We also start with data sets coming from our, let's say, intelligence in the camera. So you might know the traffic detector from our camera. So we start using that, and we improve it that with more, let's say, specific domain, let's say, data sets, maybe vehicles and all kind of lighting that we see the most, maybe for perimeter protection. And altogether, we're not only using one snapshot to make the deep learning, but also we use actually a lot of frames, so a clip. And the result will be that you really also getting the most of the performance. So you're using actually clips, not only snapshots.
Yeah, yeah. And it's set as a standard for 10-second clips, right?
It is not using the whole 10-second clips, okay. Just part of it. So you and that's really to make sure that you're treating that event quite quickly. So it's not using the whole 10 seconds. It's just a few frames of that part.
Just to check and verify.
Yeah.
Does the alarm verification somehow also use the camera trainer so it gets more accurate depending on the application, or is the DNN used already enough? I think that kind of was hidden in your answer already, but let's...
yeah, in the end, the better, let's say, you configure your cameras with your analytics, the better will be the input. And maybe the AI don't have too much trouble to manage, right? Yeah. But maybe you're not doing the best calibration on your camera, you still, let's say, getting a lot of small, let's say, animals, then you can, the AI will play a really good, important role, because we'll make sure that's not reaching the operator. And the camera trainer is part of our offer on the camera side. So maybe then you're actually looking to all kind of different, let's say, objects, but our focus for the VSaaS part is really persons and vehicles. Yeah. That's what we're looking on the cloud.
And the AI that does the checks, does it have some sort of a learning algorithm? It gets smarter the more it does the checks?
For the first version we're going to release, it is not doing that. But for the second version, what we plan to bring, imagine the operator is receiving the event and he is looking to that as let's say, as false alarm. And he can also give his feedback. So we will implement it, he gives the feedback, and then the feedback will actually improve the algorithm behind, and this is then, improving over time.
Right, right.
By the way, I forgot to tell you when it's coming.
Oh, very good.
The alarm verification.
Tell me.
Okay, so we're going to have a public preview phase, and starting in October, so all of you, our customers, if you want to try out the alarm verification, you can contact our sales guys. We will be able to generate, let's say, demonstration licenses that you can start to use. So then it's really coming, as I mentioned, it's quite soon. October, it's quite close. So then customer can start to try out and experience this new feature.
And these demo licenses, is that for like a month or is it for?
We can provide for 1 month. Maybe if you really need it, hey, I need to test for 2 months, that's no problem also. So. Yeah,
I can tell you're flexible. Very good.
Of course.
All right, let's maybe touch on 2 more questions. I see some more questions in here, but I'll try to fetch 2 from here to not steal too much of your time. How is your subscription rate? Is it per camera or lump sum?
Per camera.
Per camera, right?
Yeah.
Efficiency above. I think that's what we learned today.
Exactly. Just pay what you use. Huh?
Yeah.
And even in our case, maybe you apply the license for 1 camera, and it's a yearly license, but you use it only for 6 months. Maybe it's a temporary installation again. Then you can actually stop that use of that license, and if you maybe not using anymore, and you can activate later on, and then starts to count again. So then it means, let's say, you're really using what you're really paying what you're using, and the yearly fee, let's say, can be reused maybe with a different camera if that's the need.
Perfect. Last one. Let's see. How do we manage the bandwidth when a lot of cameras are in a single location? Is a minimum bandwidth required per camera?
Well, again, it's really, first of all, our cameras really have good, let's say, performance on encoding that stream. So you might really not need that much. We see that, of course, there is a minimum stream there, but it's not really limited to that. As I mentioned, we can even work with a 3G, let's say, connection. But then maybe you don't get that 10 seconds clip, you just get 1 snapshot. So what we recommend is per camera that you try to estimate around 500 kilobits per second, and then you always get, let's say, a lot of space for live playback, get the clips in a smooth way. So that's what we recommend at least.
Perfect. Now, I see some more questions here. They are very good questions, and I think it's very relevant and important. do reach out to your local sales guys as well if you want to have some sort of a demonstration, if you want to have a deeper discussion on your projects. I think in every country we have someone, at least one person that is very knowledgeable, almost as knowledgeable as you are on the topic of VSaaS.
They're really good.
Really good. So, you know, save those questions, pass them on to them. They will be able to answer them as well. For now, let's move on to the last poll. We always like to know, how did we do? How did you like this session?
Also, please.
Yes, exactly. So please do give Philippe a good rating. He'll be very happy. Again, you'll see the poll on the side of your screen with the options there. So let us know how we did, how you like this session, and should you have any further feedback, contact us via the known channels. You know, leave a message in the box after the poll. Send us an email through the email address which you got the reminder for and the registration information. All the feedback is always welcome. Now with that, I think the poll should be visible in your screen right now, so please do vote. How was it for you, Felipe? How did you like it?
My fingers here to have some good results. Wow, looks good.
So they're now coming in. So far, you're not doing poor, so that's good. I think you can continue your job here.
Thanks.
We might need to invite you back, right?
Cool. Yeah, really my pleasure.
So indeed, there's some feedback coming in, so that's really good. Thank you so much for that. And I think with the last pieces of feedback coming in, I would like to thank you all for watching. I'd like to thank you, Felipe, for...
Thank you, Dan. Thank you all.
For taking us into the world of VSaaS and showing us what the cloud can do for us. I think that was very, very valuable. Answering all of the questions. And with that, I hope you've had a good breakfast and a good breakfast session. And I wish you a very good day. Goodbye.